Brewing Inc. is now syndicated on SeriousWriter.com. See them at SeriousWriter.com for resources, articles, videos, topical classes, and now a podcast, the Brewing Inc. Podcast, because we're syndicated on SeriousWriter.com.
All right, another Interbrew.
Interbrews. What number are we on?
This is number 17.
17.
I enjoy these because we just get to talk.
We just get to talk.
Things that we enjoy.
That's right.
And this episode, we get to talk about Stranger Things Season 3.
Season 3. And really, we're probably going to cover all
of them.
All of them to one degree or another.
Yes.
But this, again, is a spoiler-filled review.
Yes.
We are going to talk about everything.
Yes.
So just be warned.
Have your finger on the pause button. If you haven't finished all the episodes, if you haven't finished all the seasons and you want to, now would be the time to listen to a different episode.
Listen to a different episode. Listen to the Avengers one. Hopefully you've seen Avengers.
There you go. I went and celebrated my friend's birthday yesterday. They just now went and saw Endgame.
Oh, really?
Yesterday. I know they waited till the re-release of it apparently, but
that's amazing.
You know.
But we're on Stranger Things now.
Yes.
And we love good stories. We love great fantasy science fiction stories. Yes. So for us, we are fans.
Yes.
We are fans of this stuff.
Yes. It's so much so that, and I think I've said this before, but when I am writing my bigger sci-fi narrative novels, I'm listening to the Stranger Things soundtrack as I'm writing because it just sets the vibe that I'm looking for.
It's a great vibe.
And it's the music that I'm digging, and this, it does for me what I need.
Now, this is a little bit of an aside to our main discussion.
Yes.
So we shouldn't take too long. But
okay,
we went over this with Game of Thrones. Mm-hmm. How great the score was for Game of Thrones. Mm-hmm. How important do you think a great score or music is to a good show?
I think it is one of the things that you need to invest your money in.
Absolutely, right?
Yeah. Much so that I am putting in effort and time to do the same thing for my own books. And that's something that is
right,
unheard of at this point. So we'll see how far that gets.
We've talked to people about doing it.
Yes.
And other people are thinking about doing it.
Yes.
But I agree. I think it's a very unique idea. And I would, although very unique is bad grammar.
And to throw back to our episode last week, talking about nostalgia.
Yes.
And this is going to tie in a whole lot with Stranger Things here, but sound and music is one of the most vivid ways for people to remember things.
Absolutely.
You will hear a song that you heard back when you were 9 or 10, and you'll still know every single lyric to that song.
Yeah.
So, yes, I do think having a good, even just an intro song to your TV show or your movie.
I really think, though, Stranger Things has missed the boat to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Because, here's why I think. I love the music, and I totally agree it fits.
Yeah.
But they should have had some 80s star do a really cheesy 80s song.
Uh-huh.
And maybe not made it their intro song, but had it in there somewhere prominently.
Yeah.
Right? Because they did so many of those old 80s hits.
Yeah.
Like, in the 80s and a little bit into the 90s, but like really Friends was probably the last one that did this.
Yeah.
Where you remember the theme song.
I'll be there for you.
Like, you don't really have that as often.
Nowadays.
I don't even know if you have it anymore with any sitcoms or shows or anything. Right. Now, the hour-long shows has some sort of music theme, but even those are really catchy, and they really put a lot of money into that
and
stuff.
Here's the other thing. A lot of people are streaming nowadays using Netflix, which is what Stranger Things is on, and Netflix gives you this option.
You skip it.
You skip the intro.
You skip it.
Guess what? I didn't do at all on any of these episodes. I did not push that button.
You never did? I did a couple times.
I listened. Yeah, I just let the mood settle in. Now we even though we were like binging like 4 episodes at a time, sort of thing.
Right.
It's great. I let it wash over me.
So the music is great.
Yeah.
But I really have appreciated Stranger Things in general.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those shows that has gotten a lot of attention, and I think it should. We'll talk about season 3 specifically here in a bit, but man, when it came out,
yes,
we were all like so in.
Yeah.
Like it was such a great story, great characters. Definitely had that Stand By Me, Sandlot, Stephen King's It. Like it had that element.
E.T. kind of like kids on bikes, walkie-talkies.
Yeah, all that stuff. I mean, but because they did it out of nostalgia.
Yes.
Not just to be derivative. I think that's what made it work.
Yeah.
And there are some things that maybe went over the top in season 3, but
we'll talk about
but
that.
I think that that's another thing when we talk about nostalgia that really is interesting, because you can be not cheesy, but maybe cheesy, but you can kind of be a little derivative.
You can play it up, yeah.
But you're doing it on purpose. Like you're doing it to be nostalgic. You're doing it to be so. It had all those elements from the 80s, and yet it still had a very unique kind of story, man. I mean, there's, the upside down world, upside down and all that.
Well, here's what I think season 1 did better than any season 2 or season 3 is they did more of a Hitchcock kind of approach to it, which was more in tune with that era, because they didn't have the technology to just show you this big old behemoth of a monster.
Right.
So they kept it in the shadows. They didn't really show it in full force until the last episode.
Yeah.
From what I can remember, you got like these close up kind of shadowy images of it, but it was revealed to you bit by bit. Throughout that first season, and then the second season, it was just, hey, it's a different monster, and we're going to show you a lot of them. And so, what the scary part is the overwhelming feeling of it.
Right.
And I liked what they did with season 2 with
I do too.
The whole like underground tunnels and all that, and there was a lot of parts in there where you were like going, what's going to happen to this character? And they tied Will in a lot more, in that one, and kind of showed.
They gave him a little more character in season 2.
Yeah.
I think in season 3 they did a much better job with his character. Like that is actually one of the things that has bothered me about the show.
Yeah.
Is Will is more a tool of the story than he was ever a real character.
Exactly.
And I think that
even in the way
improved.
he looks a lot like Mike.
Yeah, he does.
And so you can get them confused.
Yeah. But another person I would relate or compare season 1 to is M. Night. Like Hitchcock is a good comparison, but I think a more modern version is that M. Night kind of like in Signs or different things where he doesn't show a lot of things. It's more the setup. It's more the situation. It's more like
the unknown is what is the creepy factor.
And so definitely, man, that's first season. But the first season was also really great about characters. And again, like I said, Will is a criticism to me. But, the sheriff, the single mom, like just the teacher, the goofy science teacher, just so many of the characters.
The cool kid that has a realization that what he's going through is actually a change in character.
Right.
Yeah.
And they did a good job with just the characters, Mike had his older sister, and they had Will had his older brother, and they had the tension of the classes, which was such a big thing in the 80s, in the sense of in media. Yeah. Like my experience wasn't as cliquish in my high school,
right?
In the 80s, like there was some cliques and there were some definite things. There were some different groups, but it wasn't as evil as.
Every movie would lead you to believe.
What's his name? The Breakfast Club, and it wasn't as as divisive and people breaking out in fights all the time. It wasn't Pretty in Pink all the time. Like, it wasn't necessarily like that, at least in my experience. But I think that, they pulled that in. Not to be derivative, again, they were doing it on purpose. They were pulling the class system, the popular, the not so popular kid, and all that stuff. So they just did such a great job with that first season. Yeah. It's still probably one of the best seasons of a show. Yeah. Like, I think Heroes, the first season, is one of the best seasons.
Don't get me started on Heroes.
But then, then that tanked really fast.
I felt that in the heart.
Yeah. But all that to say is, but I actually really did like season 2. So I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were like, "Oh, I didn't really like season 2."
Yeah, I was talking with someone today, and I said, "Oh, I finished season 3," and they said, "Oh, what'd you think?" I was like, "Oh, I liked it. There were some things I didn't like, and some things I really liked." And they said, "Oh, yeah, it was better than season 2 for sure." And it made me stop and go, "Did I dislike season 2 that much? I don't remember disliking it that much."
I think here's my one criticism of season 2, and they kind of fixed it with season 3.
Yes,
my one criticism of season 2 was 11 can do anything with her power.
Yeah.
It kind of got to that point of, like, she just gets pissed off and can do anything.
Yeah, she had that one episode where she just goes off and becomes emo for a whole episode. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, like, there is no... Well, yeah, that episode, I actually enjoyed that episode. Although the whole time I'm thinking, this is what an episode would have been if they had 25 episodes.
Right.
And they needed to have filler episodes, which is what they had in the 80s. Because they would have those, like, really filler, weird, off-the-wall episodes in the 80s.
Where they got to play around with the characters.
They got to play around with the character, and then the next episode, they just go back to normal.
Pretended like that never happened. Yes, very much so.
Totally did it. So, again, I don't know if they were doing that on purpose or whether they just felt like they needed to put this little thing in. But, yeah, that episode didn't need to be in there. I mean, it did nothing for the story.
All it did was show what would happen if Elk became unhinged.
To a degree, So, and it wasn't badly done or badly written necessarily. It was just it just didn't flow with the story. It was just kind of a definite tangent to the whole thing. But I really did like season 2 overall. I think they explored more of Will's character a little bit. Yeah. But they ended up, he just became like the monster. Like they still didn't really do anything with his character.
Yep. Now in 3, I feel like he was the character that they were really driving this realization of moving on and nostalgia through him. Because he had been gone, for this time, and he felt like his friends had kind of moved on to a degree. Like, Mike's got a girlfriend now, and Dustin's off doing his, summer camp and whatnot. And Will just wants to get back to what was comfortable, what he knew. He wanted to get back to his friends, playing games in the basement. Yeah. And for the first couple episodes, they're just turning them down. Yeah. Yeah. And I liked what they did with that because I did because you can relate to that. Like that's something that you can relate to. Like, and they said it like they did like spell it out for you. Like, did you think we were just going to always hang out in my basement and play games? And a part of you goes, yeah, I kind of hoped.
Well, I did. Yeah. I thought this was where we were. Yeah. And oh man, I saw a great meme. Yeah, where like people are like, there's like people making out in the basement or whatever, like on the couches. It's not actually Stranger Things, but it was, it was like a basement party, and this kid with like the wizard outfit, is in the corner like looking like all dejected, and it's like, this is Stranger Things. Like, they kind of did that to him, right? Right. And I also really think it's interesting. What was the jock guy's name who ends up becoming really cool?
Steve Harrington.
Steve, right?
Yeah, Steve.
I think it's interesting they never gave him a girlfriend again.
Right.
I really think that was a really interesting choice for the storyline. Yeah. That he was, what's her name?
Yeah, he was Nancy's boyfriend.
So he was Nancy's boyfriend in the beginning, and they were the popular couple, and that was a great storyline. Yeah. And I love the way they turned his character in season 2. Yeah. But like the formulaic thing would have been to give him
that
a girlfriend in the third one.
Yeah.
Because they were giving everybody else a girlfriend. They even gave the toothless dude a girlfriend, right? But I actually think it was tastefully and interestingly done that he was getting close to this girl, and she kind of came out to him. Like, I actually like girls. You know, like, sometimes...
And I like the way that he played it off, too. Like, that girl? You choose her over me?
I thought it was tastefully and well done. It wasn't... Sometimes some of that agenda stuff...
Right.
Whether it's feminist or whatever, some of that agenda stuff, I don't mind having characters that you show these things, but sometimes it's so in your face. And so, like, I really thought it was tastefully done, and I thought it was a really interesting thing that they did with this character.
Yes, and I did too. When that scene played out, I was like, that was well written. It was written into the story.
It was written into the story. Good.
It wasn't a statement that they were trying to make through their medium, but it was a part of the overall storytelling.
Yeah, I thought it was really well done, actually. And unlike some other shows where just stuff starts happening and you're like, this doesn't even go with the story, you know?
Yeah.
They're just... whatever, decided this season that's what they're going to do.
Right.
But no, I really like that. I thought that his character Steve was really well done.
Yes.
But for me, for Will, I enjoyed that they got into his character a little bit more. And I definitely like that play because we all either knew the kids or some of us, especially the nerds of us, we were that kid.
Yeah.
We were that kid where everyone else was getting girlfriends at 12 and 13 years old. And we're like, I thought we were playing with G.I. Joes, man. Like, I thought
what happened?
What happened here? Like, where did everybody go? And it is a transition because everyone makes those transitions of, you know, just growing up and getting into that next thing. And so I thought that was really interesting. So I thought some of the conflict that they did with Jonathan and Nancy was really interesting. Like, he's like, look, just be okay having a job. Right. Like, you know, he comes from this background where he's like, man.
He's like, I worked real hard to get to where I'm at. Don't screw this up for me.
Yeah, right. And she's trying to act like she's maybe not entitled, but she's feeling oppressed as a woman. Like, they're just having me get coffee. He's like, you're an intern. Like, you know, like,
that's what you're supposed to be doing.
What did you think was going to happen in your first month of working? They were going to give you the big story. Like, and I really thought that was an interesting choice too, because it did a little bit of both. It talked about her wanting to achieve and have a career, and that she is smart, and she was
a proactive character.
She was a proactive character, but it says something about him. It says something about her, and
it said something about the time period.
You know, that some of the stuff they said were jerks. They were being jerks to her, and a lot of offices might have done stuff like that.
Yeah,
but there is a certain point to working your way in to a situation or a job or whatever, and learning the ropes and all of those kind of things. So anyway, I just thought a lot of it was really good. I mean, I heard complaints from people about it was slow in the beginning, and I thought,
and you know
it
what
was good.
You know what could have been interpreted as slow, which I think was actually well done, was that they did a great job of splitting the cast up and having little groups, each having their own section of the overall story and the mystery that they're searching out that was unrelated at first, and then they tied it together about halfway through. And I thought it was a great job the way they met them up and layered it all on top of each other, and they revealed to each other the characters. It wasn't just everyone knew everything about what was going on.
Yeah, I totally agree. I thought they did a great job, because I'm watching the different storylines going, how are they going to put this together? Because that's really hard.
Right.
When you're a writer, it's easy to have the different storylines and you know they're connected and the audience knows they're connected. But when you really get to it, bringing it together into a satisfying conclusion is really, really difficult.
Yeah.
And I thought they did a masterful job with that.
They really did, because the Jonathan and Nancy had the Billy side of it.
Right.
Like, what's going on with Billy and why are these people disappearing? There's something weird going on over here. And then Hopper and Joyce, they had their side of it, which was, what's going on with the mayor and what's going on with everything that's kind of they were the ones that were kind of tying in season 2 and season 1, going, remember what's going on with our kids. And then Steve and Robin working at the ice cream shop, they had the angle of the Russians' involvement.
Yes.
And then the other kids with Mike and Will and Elle, they had the version of coming from the angle of the mind flayer, like still having that connection, knowing, it's still here.
He's still here.
But
Why
they didn't know what it was doing.
Yeah.
And so it was. I thought it was really well split up in that way.
All right, so a couple things. So I am the audience for this show.
Right.
Like, this is 100%. Netflix should put 100%, 150%. Britt Mooney should watch this show.
Right.
Because for those of you who don't know in the audience,
yes,
it is really meta for me to watch a show where these are kids in the 80s going and hanging out at a mall.
Yes.
And this was filmed at the mall that I used to go and hang out at in the 80s.
Right.
Like, I'm literally recognizing all this stuff. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's... Now, they've obviously done things to it because it's not quite a defunct mall now, but it's pretty much a defunct mall right now.
Yep.
And so they were able to go in and just,
revamp the
whole thing. But the bones are still there, and the structure is still there, and some of the stores are the same.
Yes.
Like the Walden Books, and there's some of the stores are like, oh, yep, I used to go to the Walden Books.
And so for people here, for us here that live in Gwinnett County in Georgia, a lot of people looked at that mall and went, that's Gwinnett Place Mall, and I recognize it, and that's just a mind blow with the way that it's tying into, being all popular and filled and all that. So they did a great job with that. But for you, it's even more meta because you were meta
and nostalgia.
Yes.
We were talking about nostalgia in the last episode before the last story.
Yeah.
And man, for me, those first few episodes, for some people, it may have been slow.
Yeah.
But for me, I was literally cheering when I saw Gwinnett Place Mall. I'm like, I went in that entrance all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just, like, it was so amazing to me.
I was still in Chicago in the 80s.
Right? And so just full disclosure on that. I could be a little swayed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the nostalgia really hit me. And I think their budget went up.
Right,
significantly, not just in the special effects, although those were great.
Yeah,
but man, the songs they were putting in, every time they would put another song, I'm like, how did they get the rights to this song?
Right,
like commercials would pay a big bucks for this song. Like, so I think their budget went up for special effects. And let me just say this, just as an aside, for special effects, they didn't overdo it. But they did a little bit.
They showed a lot.
Yeah. And there is something to be said about having a small budget for special effects.
Right.
Now, it can look bad and cheesy, but my favorite example is Steven Spielberg with Jaws.
Right.
They had this whole plan of the shark, and they were going to show the shark, and the shark looked awful. Mm-hmm. So they had to do a lot less, but it actually made the movie more tense.
More suspenseful and tense.
And more suspenseful by just showing the fin and just doing the music. Dun, like we're talking about music, like all these little things. So sometimes limitations can be good. Because
however,
it makes you creative. But I just think their budget definitely went up.
Showing bodies disintegrate into a gelatinous goo of bones and mucus was pretty great. We actually had to stop and think, like, okay, this one is a little more graphic, a lot more language. So
so they upped the language in this one.
Yeah, we didn't let some younger audiences that had watched maybe some of the other seasons previous We didn't let them finish this
this
season.
was definitely more over 14 than, PG-13.
Yep.
All right, so let's get to the end parts. Because these are the parts I want to talk about.
Okay.
What did you think about the people that they killed off and then the ending? So I thought, for me, it was good writing.
Yeah.
To finally get her and Hopper to agree on a date.
Right.
And then they kill him off.
Yes.
Right? Like,
very Steve Rogers and
very but
that
I
Miss
just
Dance. Yep.
But they did other things too. Here's the one thing I loved.
Okay.
Is that Elle lost her powers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that made the ending satisfying for me.
Yes.
I was literally in episode 7 or whatever,
Yep.
like one of the episodes before the end, and I was literally sitting there as a writer going, if they don't somehow figure out a way to take away her powers and make all these people figure out a way to do it where Elle doesn't have to do it,
right,
then I'm out.
Yeah.
Like, literally, I was like, it's lazy writing at this point if they don't figure out a way. And they totally did.
Because Max kept saying, why do you care? Why are you even trying anything? Our weapon is Elle. Elle's going to do it all for us. And they were setting it up. They were doing a great job of the setup and then a great job of showing overall that it's not just one person, it's a team. Yeah. It's them all working together.
Yeah.
There was a lot of points in the season where someone would have been gone or, out of the series had it not been for intervention from just a normal person other than Elle.
Yeah.
So they did a great job with that. I agree.
I think that was great.
And it would have been a season 4, which is obviously going to be coming. The setup is there. Season 4 would not have been as looked forward to without that detraction from her being all powerful.
Yeah. If they do a season 4.
Right.
Pretty likely at this point.
Most likely, yeah.
Then they've got a lot of stuff to start exploring, and there's a lot of stuff for us to look forward to.
So I have a thought and
You've got a theory, don't you?
I do.
Yeah, do you have a Hopper theory?
I have a Hopper theory.
Yeah, let's see what your Hopper theory is.
Okay, so they didn't do anything with the Upside Down in season 3.
Nope.
Did you notice that?
Well, they kind of did with Billy.
A little bit, yeah.
When Billy was kind of...
A little bit, yeah, because he was seeing people...
Yeah. But you're right, they didn't. Which was a big part of the other season.
Yes. And that thing that the big machine was keeping open was a gateway into the Upside Down. And Hopper took a long look into it.
Yeah, he did.
Right before he, quote unquote, disappeared.
Yes.
Then if you stayed for the after credits...
There was an after credits scene. That's so Marvel.
Right? It really is. I love Marvel for that.
Yeah, me too.
I love it that everyone else is like, we got to do these after credits scene. Yes, they come in and they're going to grab some guy.
The Russians.
The Russians. Yeah, so they set you up in Russia and they're grabbing someone to feed to a Demodog.
Yep.
Or a Demogorgon. It wasn't even a Demodog. It was a full-on Demogorgon. And they explicitly say, no, not the American.
Right.
This guy. So the only thing I can think of is that Hopper jumped in. Because he is a survivalist. He's not I'm just going to take my fate for what it is. I'm just going to accept my fate. Right. He's a survivalist. And he knows what that portal was. He knew he had a better chance jumping into a portal that could potentially kill him than just staying right there where it's going to blow up. And he's been told it kills people. Yeah, when it goes off.
That was the only safe place to go.
Right.
I totally thought the same thing.
Yeah.
When he looked at the portal and then they didn't show him disintegrate.
Nope.
They showed the other people disintegrate.
Exactly.
And they didn't show him disintegrate.
Yep.
I thought,
There was no remains. Yeah.
And then, but still I was thinking, well, whatever.
How sad.
Yeah, well, but like I didn't know if there was going to be a season 4. I didn't know. But then when I saw that there was going to be an after credit scene, when I was just watching and like, here it comes, I'm like, oh, they're going to, Hopper's not dead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I was just sitting there thinking, Hopper's not dead. Now, obviously there is a way that they could write it that isn't, they kind of telegraphed it, right? I mean, like the American, it's in Russia, and we know they have a Demogorgon or whatever, and we know they've been trying to open it up, you know. But just as an aside, here's some really awesome derivative things that Stranger Things did in season 3. We talked about the music, talked about the mall. They went to the pool a lot.
Yes.
Like, maybe that still happens, but, like, when I was a kid, like...
The 80s and 90s...
We went to community pools.
Pool.
We just went to community pools all the time. They were, you know... and then they had the Russians come in.
Yep.
Because that was, like, every 80s movie. We were fighting the Russians.
Yep.
You know, the Soviets or something.
Yep.
And then they had the big baddie guy. He kept, like, surviving. Mm-hmm. He was a real human, but he was definitely a throwback to the Terminator.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, yes. In low lighting and his haircut and the way he looked around. And when I saw him in the previews, I was like, oh, that's awesome. They got a really good, like, Terminator-looking guy. And they even said it. Like, they even mentioned this. And we haven't talked about the fact that the other bad guy, the mayor... was the Princess Bride.
Right?
Like, as it was Wesley. Wesley, the Dread Pirate Robert. Oh, man, I was eating that up, too.
That was great.
Oh, that's such good casting. But they also had, in the end, Steve and Robin go to apply to work at a video store, which was so 80s and 90s.
Yes.
And he runs into a poster of Fast Times at Ridgemont High, which is also, you know, has that iconic pool scene and all that stuff, which was... They tied in so much stuff. They tied in New Coke that came out in that year.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, they tied in a lot of this stuff.
And he was like, look, it's new, it's better. Right? And they're like, no, it's not. Like... We had those conversations in the 80s. Like, some people are like, no, we love it. And like,
now, let's tie in the one thing that they tied in that was just kind of over-the-top glorification.
Oh, this was over the top.
So, the Never-Ending Story.
Oh, my God.
I loved it. I watched it a whole bunch as a kid. I sang the song all the time. And having them sing the song in the show, it's still stuck in my head. I've been singing it and listening to it for days now. But having them go through the whole song and the rendition in the moment that they were doing it was very...
It was painful.
Yes. You're going, just read off the stupid code.
Give them the numbers already.
Right? Like... That's why Hopper died. Hopper died because they had to sing the song.
Because they had to sing verse 2.
Verse 2, right?
Like, I would have been fine with verse 1 and the first chorus, but they went all the way into verse 2.
Yeah.
Like, the only way it could have been more over the top is if Falcor
had swooped in, taken out the mind flayer
from the upside down and had been trapped all this time.
Well, I thought maybe they were going to tie in, like, his girlfriend's mom was, like, the original princess from the Neverending Story. I'm like, why is this so important right now that we're doing this? I thought they were going to give us some kind of Easter egg there.
Yeah, maybe.
And it didn't happen.
But I love that Susie was real.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I love that. I mean, obviously. I mean,
it was going to happen.
That had to happen.
The setup was there.
The setup was there. You had to do that. And, so they just did a lot. But I just really... Go ahead.
I loved how much they brought in ham radio, too.
Yes.
Like, that was really big then. And we had someone, one of the guys in our writing group, and that was on the podcast.
Some of you remember Bill.
Bill, he's really big into ham radio. And that was, like, very, very popular back then. But it is still now. But back then... Without the internet, like, that was the way that you did long distance communication.
Right. Without there was no internet, there was no cell phone.
Right.
And most kids, I mean, you use the telephone a lot.
Yes.
But the only way, like,
it was a landline.
The only way to communicate long distances. And it was relatively inexpensive to get a ham radio. Like, it wasn't like it was this huge cost to have. Oh, of course, walkie-talkies. We all had walkie-talkies. Like, walkie-talkies were the bomb.
Now, I never had a walkie-talkie that was like all the ones that are in the movies.
No.
It's like, you try to talk to your friend across the street, and they wouldn't. Like, this isn't the right kind.
Yeah.
But the inclusion of that and having one of the characters, delve into that, like, it was a great way to pull him apart, but because he went off to camp, so he wasn't around for a little bit, and Dustin, and then when he came back, like, now he has acquired this new ability, so to speak, if you're going to break it down to the game Dungeons and Dragons terms. So that was a way for his character to level up, but also stay within the meta of the period.
It was totally a moment where I'm sitting there going, the only reason this is happening is because the writers or the producers or whoever it was decided in the moment, or not even in the moment, we could have, obviously it was planned, but they were like, we don't care what anybody says. We are going to put this song.
We're going to sing the whole damn thing.
And we're going to sing the whole song. That was totally what they did. And you were either going to enjoy it or just like go, like one of the two.
I think that's a 50-50 thing, because my wife was sitting there stressing out going, why are they doing this right now? Whereas I was sitting there going, the never-ending story, because I loved it.
Now, another thing I think they did well is the relationship between Max and Billy.
Yeah.
Like, I thought what they did with Billy's character
it was good.
Was great. And of course, we all love Max already.
Yeah.
Max is a great character.
Yeah.
And just a little play, all the little play they did with like the girls thinking they knew how boys were going to react, and the boys, and just all that stuff was fun. But because we were all like that, right? What do girls like? I can't afford that, and but what they did with them, where she's like, please, Billy, please don't be the monster.
Right.
And then he is the monster.
Yeah.
She's like, oh my God, what are we going to do?
And she's like, you're not going to kill him, are you? Like, when they started bringing out the gun, and Nancy was like, I'm going to do what I need to.
She's like, well, we hope not, right? I don't want to, but so I just thought what they did with that whole arc was really great. And I really enjoyed kind of his little redemptive moment at the end, but then there was a self-sacrificial moment. But like they killed people off. I mean, Hopper we don't really think is killed off, but that what was his name? Andre? What was the Russian guy's name?
Oh yeah. Smirnov.
Smirnov. But the Russian guy's name they kill off. The Russian guy they kill off. Billy. They kill off. Kind of Hopper, but they got rid of
pretty much anyone that was included into the mind flayer.
Yeah, right.
They're all dead.
They killed all these people. I mean, like they kind of upped the game a little bit with the stakes there towards the end.
Yeah,
and like I said, I actually really liked it. Like I was not surprised, but I was pleasantly surprised to some degree with some of the choices they made at the end. And I just thought it came to a really satisfying conclusion. It made sense, although I didn't like it, but it made sense that Joyce and her family were going to move away because she'd had so much pain there in that house and had so, I mean, there are monsters in the house.
And that fed into the nostalgia message that they were really, going for, that angle of nothing stays the same. Nothing that you enjoy as a kid lasts forever.
Yeah.
People move away, people die, people grow up.
Yeah.
And between those three things, you lose who you were as in those few years, where you have this kind of special, almost like solitude in your childhood. Maybe not for everyone, but the ideal. It doesn't last.
Yeah, it's not. And again, I thought they did just a great job overall. And I can't really think of much that I would have to criticize. I mean, there were a couple things.
Some of the sappy parts, some of the like moments that were supposed to be heartfelt or that were more focused on the relationship issues. Some of those were, I felt, more interruptive to the overall story.
Okay.
It at points you're just like, okay, get on with it. Like,
right,
we got it.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, other than that, I think it did a great job.
Well, and they didn't have an episode like they had in season 2 where they just seem to go off the rails and come back. Like,
Yeah.
They really kept the stories pretty tight, and they did a good job juggling the 3 different stories.
Yeah.
They brought in, what's his name's younger sister, and she was a great character.
Yeah. Lucas' younger sister.
Little sister, and she's like, you nerds, and then she's a nerd, and
herself,
my God. And I just thought, like, again, they just did a lot of it.
Even like when you finally get to hear his girlfriend, and then she's in the background, and she's like, who's that? And he's like, nobody. Like, it was a great little interaction.
It was great. And, by the way, we haven't talked about this. Mm-hmm. They snuck in through the air ducts.
Right.
Like, what a throwback to the 80s. Like, in every 80s MacGyver episode, he was going to sneak in. Like, this was every episode.
The air ducts were much larger back in the 80s. It's a well-known fact.
Which is really funny because the only reason they got the girl involved in the first place is because she was so little.
Yeah.
And they were kind of making that joke, like no one else can fit in. But then by the end,
they have an adult going through there. Yeah,
it's huge. So like I said, I really enjoyed the show. But again, I'm the target audience. I am. It was like, boom, targeted to me.
Yeah.
My age group, my nostalgia,
your location,
my genre, the science fiction kind of weird stuff. So a lot of that was just really targeted to me. The horror, like, it got a little more horror-ish.
Yeah,
it's always has been, but just it got a little more graphic, like you were saying, with like the rats exploding and like people like exploding and melting, and so it got a little more graphic. I really could have gone without the step up in language. They didn't need it. I don't know why they were pushing it.
Yeah.
Because
they just kept using the same word over and over again.
They just kept overusing words, and it's just some of that was a little lazy writing to me. But overall, I just felt whenever characters would get together, I'm like, just in a scene,
done.
Like I'm just like, yep, you got to throw those characters together. Let's see what happens.
Yep.
Just as a writer, I was very satisfied with season 3.
Yeah, and I really loved when Joyce and Hopper finally met back up with the kids, and the kids have like this plan, and they've been through so much and everything. They're like, okay, we can help, and Hopper's just like, no, you got a kid. We've got this. Like, you guys are not doing this. Like,
you guys are just going to go hang out over there.
Yeah.
Just stay low,
Yeah. Let the adults handle business. Yeah. I like how they brought in characters from season 2.
Yeah.
And they made them intricate in season 3, like with the guy that was all out in the trailer, like in his little bunker.
Yeah. He was great.
But they brought him in, and he did what he did to Nancy and Jonathan with their relationship.
Yep.
He did the same thing to Hopper and Joyce.
Yeah,
like, just get it over with, because we don't want to deal with your BS anymore.
Yeah, that was a great throwback to that. I thought it was great. But I love Paul Reiser. I think he is really, really funny.
Yes.
And of course, this was not a comedic role at all.
No.
For him, but
to a degree, it was.
Yeah. But for him to come back and to show, well, it wasn't our government, at least this time, that was causing all the problems.
Yeah.
So no, I thought it was good, and the little gunfight that Hopper had with the guys, with all the Russian guys, and he's in the fun house kind of thing.
Yeah.
They just had some really nice moments as they were going through. Oh, there was a fair.
Yeah.
Talk about throwbacks and
Right.
nostalgia. I mean, I know there's still fairs go on, but again, all that stuff, man. Like for us who grew up in the 80s,
classic
like that,
United
classic
States
stuff.
Yeah, 1980s, and the inclusive of Mr. Clark, the science teacher, the one that got the kids originally into like ham radio and stuff like that. He was the one that kind of got Joyce on her path of where to look, but he also became the conflict between her and Hopper because he's like, you stood me up to go talk to the science teacher? And he would not let that go. But yeah, they did a great job of tying so many things that could have been loose ends.
Yeah.
They brought them in, and it was smart writing.
And really, the main part that was not good writing, and I really just think, like we said, that they did it to be fun, was the Never-Ending Story song. I mean, like, this just went on too long, and it got a little painful, just because we were in a tense moment, and they had set this up so well, that you're like, what the heck, man? We're trying to, like, but they did a good job going. They did a lot of good yes, but they did a lot of good no ands. They just did a lot of really fun things, and I just have really appreciated good writing as a writer, and obviously the nostalgia. But
yeah,
it was
there
well
were
done.
So many other people that if you go through the cast, if you go back and you're familiar with any kind of actors from the 80s and 90s and that era, they grabbed a lot of them, and you'll probably recognize them when you go back through. But yeah, they did a great job casting.
They did,
and all that. So yeah, 2 thumbs up from me.
2 thumbs up for me, man. I'm a fan. They could have easily done some lazy things and just kept making money, and people probably would have liked it and kept watching it. But I thought they did a great job overall. They did some really interesting and different things that they had to do to make season 3 work, and I thought they did it. And I would love a season 4 if they do it right.
Yeah.
Like, if they really put the same kind of energy and effort, and especially if they get you and I to write one of the episodes.
Yeah. I mean, which is a possibility.
They film right here, obviously. They film right down the street.
Right.
So we just need to write one of the episodes.
Yeah, hit us up.
Just one. Yeah. I would do only one. I would be so happy.
That'd be fun.
I'd even put a couple S words in there. I'd put a couple cuss words in there for you. Oh, they probably put that in on post, but they probably the director would put those in. There's not enough cussing in this one.
Yeah. Well, as always, if you have enjoyed this, please let us know on either Facebook, Instagram, any of our little social media.
Share, subscribe.
And then always raise that glass to inspiration and stay inspired, guys. See you next time.